These messages will now become subliminal, but your subconscious mind will be hearing and accepting all of the positive messages. Listen to the tapes as often as you can. The more you listen, the sooner success will come.
Wake me up from this physical world.
Hello, world, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice podcast. I am your host, Kenya Zandrowicz. Now, we are in season 2, people, and I am beyond ecstatic over that. 1, because the consistency is there. 2, this is truly a passion of mine. And 3, this is my therapy. So I appreciate each and every one of you that have decided to join us and tune in and watch and listen, whatever it is that you're choosing to do. But I am so very glad that you are here. I want to just make a couple of quick announcements before we hop into our episode. So we are now global people. I mean, we have listeners. Of course, we have them here in the United States. So hello, everyone who's listening. We now have Canada in the house. Woohoo! So excited. Brazil, hello to you. We have Spain. We have France. We have the United Kingdom, Tanzania, Kenya. What up? Zambia. Oh my gosh. India, Thailand. Did I miss anyone? Russia, Turkey. Like, this is absolutely insane and amazing all at the same time. So it's definitely a you movement. It is a collective movement because this podcast is all about you. It's all about helping you, guiding you, and assisting you on your journey of being human, of becoming who you are. And speaking of becoming who you are, today's topic is the power of vulnerability. We're going to talk about being vulnerable and what does that look like? What does that entail? And is it okay? You know, we've been taught, at least I know that I was taught in the past, that vulnerability was something that you did not want to expose. I mean, it could lead you to some sort of bodily harm. When you look up what that means, right? What we learned when we were younger, the definition of vulnerability. It's the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. Now, we know that when it comes to allowing individuals into our lives, whether we're going to open ourselves up to love, whether we're going to open ourselves up to a friendship, whether we are going to open ourselves up to a business partnership, you have to allow that in. And that requires you to, in some instances, be a little bit vulnerable to even allow the initial dialogue or interaction to take place. And some of us have so many boundaries that are up. One of the ways that we can protect who we are authentically is to not let people see who that is. And so we go through life with this mask or this armor on, and it's not even truly who we are, and it starts to feel a little bit heavy. So today, what I'm going to talk about is, I feel, one of the truest ways to begin to tackle and to allow ourselves to be more vulnerable and know that it is okay to be more vulnerable is to talk about the emotions that come along with that. And also to be your authentic self, to open yourself up to who you truly, truly are and allow the world to see who that is. And that can be difficult because that is an extreme sense of vulnerability, but it is not a weakness. It is nowhere near a weakness. It is truly a strength. Now, growing up for me, I've talked about this often, but, kids will be kids and, being bullied in school, that was tough. And I did not allow myself to truly express or become who I was because I was treated as being different. And what I mean by different was I'd always known that, I preferred to do things different than everyone else. I thought differently. I had this wild imagination, and I believed that anything in this world was possible. And I carried that with me for a long time. But when I got into my adulthood, that changed. My young adulthood, that changed because I kept reverting back to who I was when I was younger, and I carried that with me. People did not like who I was, so they're not going to like who I am. So instead of showing people the real me, I had a persona, one that I hid behind, one that gave me strength. But as I started to move on through life, I started to feel detached from my own existence. I started to feel lost because inside there was this person that wanted to come out. There was this person that wanted to speak freely, about spirituality, that wanted to speak freely about meditation and metaphysics and wanted to speak freely about the power that I knew that we all possessed, even myself. And it wasn't until my later adult years where life started to teach me some very hard lessons where I had no choice but to sit back and truly get to know whom I really was. And I had to be vulnerable with myself. I had to call myself on my own crap. I had to sit there and be like, well, Kenya, you are doing this. This is what you do. This is your paycheck, but is this who you are? Right now you're exchanging your time for money, but are you existing in who you truly are? And I kept trying to convince myself that I was, but the truth of the matter, I wasn't. I had this whole life, planned when I was younger. I used to sit and I used to say, I wonder what I'll be like when I'm 20, and I'd envision it. I wonder what I'd be like when I'm 30, and I'd envision it. I wonder what I'd be like when I'm 40. I wonder what I'd be like when I'm 50. And so I hit all of those marks. And it wasn't until I got to today years old that I realized, oh my gosh, I truly am doing the things that I want to do in the way and the fashion that I want to do them, but I'm also inspiring other people. Now, being authentic means truly identifying and opening yourself up to who you are, your possibilities, and who you're becoming. And understanding that you are your own unique individual. You have your own unique thoughts and ideas and way of doing things, way of learning. It's all unique to you. You are not the person sitting next to you. You're not the person sitting next to them. Now, you may have things in common. You may have some of the same knowledge, but how you retained it, how you received that knowledge, is totally different. That is your process. That is your journey. And on the path of vulnerability and discovering the power in that and becoming who you truly are, I feel like you're tapping into your superpower. You're identifying what you want in this life. And you are looking at whether or not you have that. But what you have to remember is you're on the road to receiving those things. Now, whenever I used to hear the word vulnerability, it was always as if there was a weakness or a hole or somewhere where someone was left vulnerable and they got hurt. And when it comes to our emotional state, our emotional being, we are emotional creatures. And when we feel something emotionally, we feel it physically. And it can wreak havoc on your body if you are not having those emotions in check, if you are not quite sure how to navigate those waters, and if you're always responding from an emotional state or reacting to something emotionally, it might not always be the best way to do things. Now, being aware of your emotions, understanding what they are and why you're feeling them and what those triggers are. So that's where you get into that whole understanding who you are and being authentic. Healing. Healing is a major part. That inner healing is a major part of this whole process. And when we're on the show, we talk about a lot of different things. And some of the things that always come back when it's dealing with your inner voice, there are things that you need to heal in order to begin to reframe and change that inner dialogue. It's not going to happen overnight, but each night there's work that you can do so that each day when you wake up, you're starting anew. Repetition makes habit. And so I learned a long time ago, based on the experiences that I have had in my own life, that my inner voice helped to get me through. Now, I had reinforcements, don't get me wrong. I do have a great support system. I also have those individuals that I love to listen to on a daily basis to help me get through it. You know, I'm a big fan of Abraham Hicks. I am a huge fan of Eckhart Tolle. There are just individuals that I listen to and I take a little bit from. And growing up in a Christian household, you know, I went to school every Sunday. My grandmother was a big part of that. One of the biggest things that she used to say to me was mind over matter. And I had learned at a very young age the power of our mind. Now I look back at my life and I think about that, and some of the things that I was experiencing were truly because of how and who or how I felt about myself. The lack of deservedness, the lack of confidence, low self-esteem, all of those things. I mean, I was a big ball of cringe, right? I used to watch, or I grew up watching cartoons like He-Man. When he and his tiger, I think his name was Cringer, right? When they were just being who they thought, being this part of themselves where they were meek and they were fearful and scared of everything. Here was this prince who was terrified of everything. But it wasn't until he grabbed his sword and someone needed help and he held it up, I am the power, you know, he became strong. He became limitless. He became fearless. And so did his little trusty, you know, kitten, well, tiger, Cringer. So Wonder Woman, Superman, they all had these double lives. And in a sense, that was how I was feeling. Like I had to hide my superhero. But I wasn't just hiding it from the rest of the world. I was hiding it from myself. I was not tapping into whom I truly was on a daily basis. And that, when I began to realize that I had to be honest and truthful with myself, which allowed me to be honest and truthful with those who are closest to me, which allowed me to open myself up to more of the possibilities, and I'm able to connect with other individuals who are of like mind. And so being vulnerable, it is truly a positive space to be in. It showing your emotions or expressing your emotions. We all have them. We all are entitled to do so. I feel as though a lot of men feel as though that is a weakness. I feel as though the masculine is stepping into, you know, being able to express more of the feminine side, the emotional side. We were always taught that, we were taught to believe that men masculine energy, female, feminine energy. There's one, and that is it. But when you are a balanced human being, you learn to incorporate all of those things in becoming who you are. And I learned that through meditation. I learned that through mindfulness, various mindfulness practices. And I learned that from being more self-aware. And so I set up my life and what I do and the way that I do them, being able to incorporate all of those things so that I can make clear choices, clear decisions, so that I'm sitting with myself and I'm going, you know what, Kenya, is this really what you want? Is this really who you are? Does this add to your bottom line, your existence? Is it going to allow the possibilities to come into your life that you're seeking to help you reach your goals in life? Sometimes the answer was no, sometimes the answer was yes, but I had to have that dialogue with myself. And so getting to know exactly who I am and who I'm becoming is crucial, because every day we're evolving. Every day you are evolving. And I wake up and some days I want to just sit here. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to create anything. I don't want to talk to anyone. And then I sit with myself and I go, but is that you? No, it's not. I am just tired. So I know that I need a little bit of a rest. And once I meditate and then once I have that inner dialogue, I am excited. I am excited about life because I start thinking about and envisioning and feeling my ideal day to day. Knowing that my abundance comes from me. I'm falling in love with prosperity. I'm falling in love with having a prosperous and abundant life and what that feels like. And I have to allow that person to come forth on a daily basis. I have to have those hard conversations with various clients. I have to have conversations and communicate with customers and be real. Be real. Be real, authentic, and be real, vulnerable. Now, you do have to set those boundaries. They're there. And I have them there for a reason, not because fear of getting hurt. We're emotional beings. So things are going to happen. You're not going to like, you're going to get pissed off. You're going to get upset. Sometimes you're going to get angry, but knowing how to work through those things and understanding and discerning what it is that caused you to have this feeling in the first place and tackling that will not be disrespected. Will always know my worth and be able to articulate that. And I'm going to be real honest. In the past, that wasn't always the case. In the past, in certain situations and scenarios, I did allow myself to be taken advantage of from a monetary standpoint. But that was my lesson, and that's what I had to learn. And I'm not here. It's not all about money. But it's good to have it. It's good to have it so that you can experience certain things. And growing up, I had believed that there was never enough of it. And I carried that over with me. And I had to change that because there's plenty of it. Let's be real. There's plenty of it. There's plenty of it out there. There's plenty of it for us all to become wealthy and live the life we've always dreamt of and we desire. That doesn't mean it's just going to fall out of a tree and be given to you. It means that if you do the work, if you do the inner work, it will begin to reflect in your outer world. Pathways and opportunities and doors will begin to open that you are prepared to walk through because you are doing the work, where you are right now. And this came from a friend of mine. Beautiful, beautiful, talented, extremely spiritual woman. And she said to me, because I was saying, I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. And she looked at me and she goes, no, you're not in a holding pattern. You are being prepared for what's next. And she said that, and I felt like a bunch of doors just unlocked. Because I'm like, you're right, I am. I'm being prepared for what's next. Because if I think about my ideal and what I want my life to be and what that looks like emotionally, what that looks like physically, what that looks like spiritually, what that looks like financially, I have to be ready for it. Because to whom much is given, much is required. If you think you're going to get $1 million and you're still going to be able to sit there and do things the way that you're doing them, you're wrong. If you want to run a multi-million-dollar business and you think that you're going to be able to sit there and not be aware of your profit and loss and your projections, and you're wrong. You're wrong. And so because I know where I'm looking to go with the things that I'm doing, with the community that I'm building, with this platform, I know that I need to be prepared. And so I've become a student in this space of being prepared. I'm reading, I'm learning, I'm engaging in dialogue with other female entrepreneurs. I'm connecting. I'm allowing myself to be mentored. I'm mentoring others. So there's just this leveling up that you're doing in your life because you're continuously evolving, and the world is feeding your reality is giving back to you and is showing you exactly who you are. So if there's something in your life that you don't like, you need to change it. But you have to sit down, be real with yourself, be vulnerable, and open yourself up to who you are, and see and envision who that person is and do what needs to be done. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about overcoming fear and embracing openness. And these are two things that we talked about, separately in season 1. But again, we're going to talk about it again. We're going to dive in a little more because these things are things that will assist you in stepping into your superpower of vulnerability. So don't you go anywhere. We have more coming up for you right after this. Want to win a copy of my latest book, Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice? Simple. Visit my website at kenzandrowicz.com. Take the self-talk assessment test. Then tune in each week to see if you've won. Remember, as always, I'll be talking to you positively. Welcome back, and thank you all so very much for joining us here. You are listening to and watching the Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice podcast. I am your host, Kenya Zandrowicz. If you're just now joining us, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. We are talking about the power of vulnerability, and I think I changed that to the superpower of vulnerability. We touched on a few things, prior to this. I want to make sure that I give my shout outs to my producer, Tiffany Terrell. I thank you so much. Also to Michael K. Jones with Indie Central Media. This is how we do what we do at Indie Central TV. And also Mark's 11, the music that you hear, our theme song was produced by Mark's 11, whom we had on season 1, and we will be bringing him back. So I am super excited to bring him back for another conversation. We have some great shows lined up with some great guests. So this is all evolving and growing, and you are all evolving and growing with me. So I appreciate you for taking the time to join me here and to tune in. We are going to have a book giveaway each week. So I will be giving a copy of the Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice podcast. It's very simple. How do you win, you might say? You visit my website, you take the self-talk assessment. That's it. You just take the self-talk assessment, see where you are in your own inner dialogue for your chance to score a copy of the Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice podcast. Now, the whole premise of why I do this particular show, it goes along with my my Go From A to Zen philosophy, which is we become what we consume. And so I try to provide individuals with information, with resources, with tools, with products, all of those things that can assist you on this journey of just being more aware of what you're taking in, what you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're eating, what you're spending your time thinking about, what you're spending your money on. Are you financially setting yourself up? Are you mentally and emotionally prepared for financial success? So those are the things that I, try to deliver. And as for those of us who are parents, when we have young children, it's how do you begin to prepare them for that? So I actually wrote my first children's book, The Diva Kitty That Couldn't Sleep, available on Amazon. This book actually talks about, children and their fears and what they're going through and how they can begin to tap into meditation and affirmation and the positive self-talk to help get them through certain things. So The Diva Kitty That Couldn't Sleep, it is available now on Amazon, and I hope that you check it out. Now, before break, we were talking about the superpower of vulnerability. It's so hard to say when you say it really fast. So this segment, we're going to talk about the courage to be vulnerable. What does it take? What does that look like? And overcoming fear and embracing openness. That means that you somewhere have these boundaries that are set and you're opening yourself up to allowing others in, allowing information in, allowing opportunities in. Now, we can hold ourselves back because we're afraid to move forward because we don't know what that looks like. We might not take a job because there's more responsibility that will be needed and you're fearful that you're going to fail at it or you're going to make a mistake or you don't feel as though you're equipped enough. But I look at it as the opportunity presents itself because you are prepared for it. So the ideal life that you're looking for could be within that very thing that you're avoiding, that thing that you're afraid to do. Now, we've heard so many times, we've heard individuals say, everything that you want is on the opposite side of fear, and it's true, because the opposite of fear is love. Most people think the opposite of love is hate. It's not, it's fear. And we tend to fear the things we don't know. And so, to me, that means that, you know what, I'm going to take the opportunity, even though I'm afraid, but I know I can handle it. I know that I can learn what I need to learn. And if I make a mistake, it's okay. Doesn't mean I'm less of a person. It just means that next time I do it differently. That is how you learn, right? As children, we learn by falling down. We learn to walk by falling down. As parents, we don't want our children to fall. But when they do, it's up. Oh, it's okay. You've got this. You can do this. And that is basically what you need to do within your own life as an adult. You still need that inner voice to tell you that you've got this, you can do this. And you need to learn how to reframe some of those negative conversations And I talk about doing various activities where you're taking some of the things that you're saying that are more of a critical aspect in your life, that critical voice, you write them down and you have to refrain them. And you have to catch yourself. You have to begin to, mentally and emotionally catch it. And then you reframe it. And then you will find that that positive inner dialogue will begin to spring forth. And so when you're diving into becoming more vulnerable, you are opening yourself up to other emotions and situations and scenarios, but you are going to understand and you are going to know that that is truly how you're going to learn, how you're going to expand. You can't just shut yourself off emotionally. We are human beings. So we're human being human. And we're here to feel our way through it. I tend to think about, I look at certain animals and cats, children. I say animals, like children are animals. I don't mean it in that way, but things that are young, that are small and they have to evolve. Children are always putting things in their mouth because they're trying to feel. They're trying to see, is this something that I can eat? No. What does this feel like? You have cats, they do the same thing. They sniff, they smell. Dogs do the same thing. Animals in the wild, they do the same thing. You got to feel your way through it. And we are emotional creatures. And this is how we learn who we are. I don't avoid, I'm not saying to avoid having emotional triggers, especially when we're talking about, I want to remain in my positive, on my positive frequency, right? I want to remain in that area, that sense of calm. Life is going to happen. Things are going to happen. They're going to be out of your control. Accept that. Contrast is needed. It is needed for you to grow. So when that negative thing happens or that resistance happens, you know it's happening because you need to gain something from it, because you need to get through it, get around it, get over it, get under it, whatever you have to do to get beyond it so that you can get back into that place and that sense of calm. Some things do not require a whole lot of your attention. Some things do not require an emotional response to you. Some things will require you to stand up for yourself and set those boundaries. So speaking up for yourself, allowing individuals to see that side of you, which can feel a little vulnerable because they may not like it, but you have to do it. And overcoming the fear of what other people are going to think, say, and feel about you becoming your authentic self is something that you need to get over. What they think of you is not your business if you are not deliberately out there trying to upset, inconvenience, get over, or take advantage of anyone. If you are waking up solely to live your life, to be a better version of yourself, what other people think of you is none of your business. They will have an opinion. We all have them. Everyone's entitled to them. Whether or not it should be taken on by you, that choice is going to be up to you. But other people's opinions and criticisms, now you have opinions and you have criticisms, and everyone's going to critique certain things. You do have to be open to them. I'm open to hearing, someone giving me constructive criticism. If you're giving me something and it's coming from a place, an energetic frequency of how I can do better and how I can expand. But if you're giving me constructive criticism and you're calling it constructive criticism, but yet you're telling me all of the ways that this is not going to work. This has nothing to do with me, because in my mind, it works. I've seen it work and I've seen where it's going. And so I'm going to ride this ride until it gets there. And then I'm going to go beyond that. I've already made up my mind about that one. And that's where you have to be fearless. Be willing to stand in your dream. Be willing to stand on who you are. Be willing to understand who that person is and open yourself up to your superpower of vulnerability. Tell people how you feel. Men, it is okay to cry. It is okay to say, I need a little bit of help with this. I'm struggling emotionally and trying to express it and understand it. And I think that, as we look at sports like football, people are truly men are expressing who they are and how they feel, and understanding that our emotional state definitely adds to how we are mentally, how we're functioning mentally. And that in turn leads to everything else physically. Like, have you made any physical changes? Are you eating better? Have you removed some of the things that you know are toxic to your physical health? All of that, all of it plays together. And what I mean by sitting down and being vulnerable with yourself is getting in the mirror and looking at yourself and saying, woof, okay, this is not working. I cannot continue to go at this pace in my life, especially if where I want to be 20 years from now is doing this. I got to make sure that I'm here to do it. So you have to make those lifestyle changes. And I implore you to add mindfulness practices into your daily life, meditation into your daily life, yoga into your daily life. These are all wellness activities, and they do so much for you. They really do. I know, because I've been doing, using these things for over 15 years, and they have gotten me through some of my hardest moments, my hardest times in life. And life be lifing. But I'm able to work through it. I'm not as fearful moving forward in my life because I'm very focused and understanding that this is part of my process. I might not like it. It might be uncomfortable sometimes, but I'm okay with getting a little uncomfortable in order to move beyond where I am. And that's what I am encouraging all of you to do. It's reflect on your life and how you can begin to practice your superpower of vulnerability. How can you begin to truly open yourself up to who you are and who you're becoming? And how can you, from this very moment, allow yourself to become that person? Give yourself permission to become that person. And when you begin to add those things into your daily life, you're going to start to see the change. You'll feel it, and then you'll see it. Because the universe, God, source, that energy will be reflected back to you. You'll see it every single day with everything that you look at. And one of the biggest things that you can possibly do from where you are might be hard sometimes, but find something to be grateful for. Start there. And when you do that, there's this little spark. And you just add the breath to it. Let it flame up and get you through the day. And so again, the Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice is merely good conversation to allow individuals to engage on an authentic level And we don't stop here. We do partner with different establishments, and we do mindfulness events. We've been doing the Sculpting Positivity event with Village Studios and Gallery in Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is where this beautiful mug, has come from. I love mugs. So each show I will be showcasing a different mug, but I love this mug. And in her mind, this was a mistake. It wasn't what she was looking for. But when I saw it, it was the most beautiful mug I had ever seen. See what I'm saying? So what you might feel is a mistake, it's truly not. It is a lesson. She wanted to learn how to do something better. And in my mind, I thought it was absolutely beautiful in its authentic state. And it's doing exactly what it was presented and made to do, to be a cup. And you are to live your life doing exactly what you were made to do. And that is be you in all of your authenticity, in all of your vulnerability, in all of who you are. Your life is designed to be lived, to live big, to live big. And that's doing whatever it is that you're doing. Make sure you love it. I love helping people and being part of a team. I love to see the end result come into fruition. I love to create. And I love to help individuals realize their dreams. And so these conversations, this existence, go from A to Zen. Everything that you see and you encounter from me is designed to lead you back to you. I can say that with absolute truth. And that feels good. So we are coming to the end of our show. It has been absolutely amazing. And we have a quote of the week. You ready? Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. Brene Brown. You can't tell me that that's not the truth. It's my truth. So thank you so much for tuning in and for watching the Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice podcast. Be sure to visit my website at knyzandrowicz.com so that you can take the self-talk assessment for your chance to win a copy of my Awaken Your Positive Inner Voice book. It is a guide to cultivating self-love and empowerment. Right here, it has tools, information, and even written activities for you to take advantage of on a daily basis so that you can talk yourself through what needs to be talked through. It has been wonderful. Again, I thank you all so very much for joining me. And as always, I'll be talking to you positively.
These messages will now become subliminal, but your subconscious mind will be hearing and accepting all of the positive messages. Listen to the tapes as often as you can. The more you listen, the sooner success will come.
Wake me up from this physical world. Then shake me up so I can see the world. Oh, pick me up from the illusion world. Ooh, then shake me up, so I can see the world.